Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Put your questions in the comments now. I have a good topic that I'm going to talk to you about today. It's something that's very important for you to know. And hi there. And it's about that new Texas immigration law. So they have three bills that are working its way to the governor's desk in Texas to become law. Now, I'm just going to give you an update about this. If you're living in Texas, if you're thinking about moving to Texas, you're going to want to know about this law because it is going to be very dangerous for immigrants, especially those who are undocumented. Lately, we've been seeing states, so the first was Florida, now we're seeing Texas coming out with these laws that are targeting undocumented immigrants and criminalizing being an immigrant here without papers. Now, the Texas immigration law takes it a notch further. I'm going to talk about how they're taking it a notch further than Florida's law. In the meantime, put your questions in the comments though. I only have a limited amount of time and I want to get to your questions in at least the last 5 minutes of being on here. So start typing those questions in. So as soon as I am ready to answer questions, I can scroll through and answer. Now, the Texas immigration law, they have three bills that are moving through, and it looks like they are going to become law. Now, usually the federal government is the only, and there is case law, by the way. The Supreme Court already found years ago that the state cannot implement laws that will interfere with the federal government's role in enforcing immigration laws. In other words, the state cannot deport immigrants. Only the federal government can enforce immigration law in that way. However, Texas has now passed a law or is on the way. I believe it is going to become law that the police, the state police, not federal government, but the state police can check your immigration documents and deport you if you can't show that you entered the country legally. They can then make a move to drive you to the border and order you to cross the border. Um, if you don't comply with that order, they will then charge the person with a felony. So they will have a criminal offense, a felony on their record, and face time in prison if they're found guilty in court. Now there are a number of concerns here regarding the legality of this. First of all, the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, has stated that the state can't do this. Um, there, there are only certain, for example, you go to court, the court orders you deported, and then ICE can then work to remove you from the country. But you cannot have a state now saying, okay, we're going to check your documents. We're going to evaluate whether we think you legally entered the country, and then we're going to drive you to the border and deport you. There is something wrong here, and it is based on law. So there was the state of Arizona tried to implement a type of law like this in the past, and they lost. So clearly, once they start to enforce this law, the Biden administration, which is the federal government, I'm pretty sure they're going to challenge the law and bring it back to the court. And in that case, we'll either see the court, as we have seen with abortion, the court can always change their position if they can find a legal justification to do so. So we're a little bit on edge as well because of the type of court that we have in place now. But it is supposed to be settled law that the state can't do this. But this is what they're trying to do. They are trying to So they're trying to say that check your papers and then give the police authority to deport you. So that's one law. Then there's the anti-smuggling law, and the anti-smuggling law also they have increased the penalty from 2 years to 10 years. So 2 years to 10 years. Okay, so let's see. Uh, mm, I'm having some technical difficulties here. Let's see. All right, I'm going to come out and go back in. All right. So I'm just having a little technical difficulties here. And so I'm gonna come out and then just go back in to Instagram. I'm no on TikTok and on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm pretty sure you can hear me there, but on Instagram, I'm just having a little issue here. So let me rejoin so that they can hear. All right. The other immigration law that's going to be passed in Texas is it's going to involve building new barriers along the border of Texas. And the controversial part of that is that the kinds of barriers that they're placing in the on the border can present dangers to the immigrants who are coming across, and you have had some immigrants that have died from example the barbed wire type of barriers that they have placed in the rivers going across, so people get caught up in those barriers. Thanks everyone for on Instagram for joining me again. And just let me see if I can fix this. um, all right. So put your questions in the comments. I'm gonna scroll through very quickly. I only have like 2 minutes, but I'm gonna see how many questions I can get through. So go ahead. Let me know on Instagram. Are you hearing me on Instagram? Because I'm seeing someone saying they still can't hear me. So the last one is a human smuggling bill in Texas. Now, with that one, they're increasing the penalty from 2 years to 10 years. And with that one, it also can cause the arrest of family members who may be driving you into the state or driving you within the state of Texas. Family members, friends, they could be caught up with a felony charge and face 10 years in prison. Because they are with you, and if you don't have papers to show you legally enter the country, you're going to face criminal charges in Texas. That's the difference between the Texas law and the Florida law is they refer to people who are coming into Florida, but not driving within the state of Florida. If they have evidence you've driven into Florida with an immigrant who came into the country without permission, then that could result in the Florida human smuggling bill. But in Texas, it's so broadly defined, the human smuggling bill there, that it could cover anybody who's driving with an undocumented immigrant within the state of Florida or entering the state of Florida. So it's a very dangerous bill that's occurring right now. The most outrageous aspect of the bill, I mean, it is all outrageous, and it just shows that we're at a different level of persecution of immigrants here, undocumented immigrants. We have to remember that, um, yes, there is the rule of law in regards to immigration, but there are people in this country that are law abiding, that have come here because they have come here seeking asylum. They have come here seeking a better life. A vast majority of immigrants are not here to break the law. They're here to make themselves better, find safe haven for their family members, and they're also here to contribute, and they do contribute to the United States. That's the unfair part about this, is that these laws are meant to push undocumented immigrants back into the shadows when they are working here. They are working for other people. They're working hard. They're working to support their families. They're abiding by the rules here. They're not breaking the laws. They're not victimizing individuals. And here we have laws now that are going to scare people to the point where they are now vulnerable to human trafficking, because now they're afraid to go to the authorities for protection or to speak out for their rights when it comes to employment issues. And so these types of laws make immigrants more vulnerable. And it allows people, unscrupulous people, to take advantage of undocumented immigrants and to victimize them. So even though there's this anti-immigration, anti-human smuggling bill, ironically, it's probably going to contribute to more people being trafficked, more people being victimized, more people sitting in the shadows, not afraid to seek help where they need help. So that's the dangerous part about this bill. They're human beings, and no human being is illegal. And here we have laws that are imposing criminal penalties on human beings for existing. They're simply existing here, and they're being criminalized. So, um, you know, what I say here is evaluate your risk here in Texas. If you're in Texas, if you're thinking about moving to Texas, don't. It's not a safe state for you. If you're in Texas, just like individuals in Florida, they've had to evaluate whether it's safe for them to remain in Florida. It's the same with Texas, because you are at an increased risk. Now, another thing is you can always evaluate what your options are. Because if you do have a legal basis to be here, then that is one way that you can get around these kinds of bills. So now is not the time to go hide in the shadows and be silent. Now is the time to figure out what your options are to empower yourself and to move forward where you can. Now, my link is in the profile. Go ahead and schedule your appointment or call the office. They'll be more than happy to assist you. Let me go through and scroll through and look at some questions here. Um, Now, I do represent clients in all 50 states and the globe. So no matter where you are, I can assist you. All right. Any questions? Put those questions in. I'm going to spend at least another minute just answering your questions. How many years are you entitled to when you apply for employment with a year parole? So if you have a year parole, then your work authorization is going to go to the extension, the expiration of your parole. If you're married 4 years to an American citizen, when can you apply for naturalization? So, all being well, you meet all the other requirements 3 years from the time you got permanent residence. Um, if you're an H-2B, can you file your work permit? So you can't just go directly from H-2B to green card. Somebody has to petition for you. If a person undocumented, if they entered legally but overstayed, does this affect overstayers too? Now, they are referring to individuals in Texas and Florida. Most of this refers to individuals who cross the border without permission. And some do affect people who are not authorized to work, for example, in Florida, which means it includes overstayers. However, the dangerous part about this bill is that you have police officers, people who are completely ignorant about immigration law, now checking your papers. And so they can come up with the erroneous conclusion that you entered the country without permission, or throw you in the category of a person who entered the country without permission. Because unfortunately, to many people, there's no difference between someone who came into the country without permission and someone who overstayed their visa and no longer has a valid visa. So here we have a state law that's saying you can enforce immigration. They can enforce immigration law, and they have no knowledge of immigration law. So anything is possible. So it's not safe for overstayers as well. I'm a Canadian citizen, at which point I'm considered undocumented. At the point, so usually Canadian citizens get 6 months. At the point you're over that 6 months, you didn't go to another status, you're undocumented. I'm currently awaiting court master hearing on asylum. Now I just got married to a citizen. Can I cancel asylum and apply for change of status? It's not, no, if you're going through court, it's not that simple. You may be able to have the proceedings terminated, but there's a process to go through. So you can always give us a call, schedule an appointment. Yes, so I do all consultations and my schedule is filling up. So go ahead and schedule now so we can I can help you because my schedule is filling up. So get on my schedule now. Oakland field office didn't update my status 3 months now. Should I assume they didn't receive my hour feed? No, sometimes that does happen. You can always call them to see if you can verify. Call the main number. Would I need a J1 waiver for VAWA? And if I already applied for it, would it be an issue? So no. So for VAWA, you don't necessarily need a J1 visa waiver. And it also depends. Are you even subject to the 2-year foreign residency requirement? Can I marry an immigrant who came here on travel visa and are here legally at the moment? Schedule an appointment. Yes, you can, but what are your circumstances? Now, keep in mind that the information I'm giving here is general information. It is not legal advice. So you have to make sure that if you want personalized legal advice, that you schedule the appointment. Hi there, Lindy on YouTube. Can living in an apartment that asks on their application forms if you're a citizen or permanent resident report your immigration if you're not undocumented? No, the apartment complex, it's up to, they don't usually, they're usually not in the business of reporting undocumented immigrants, but it just depends on who's doing it. I mean, if someone sees that you're undocumented and they strongly feel like they want to report you, they can do that. There's nothing in the law that says an apartment, someone who identifies that you're undocumented can't go. I mean, there may be privacy laws related to, seeking a place to live. However, and there may be also discrimination laws in place that may protect you, but it's not 100% within the control of the law to keep someone from reporting you about being undocumented. I filed my I-130 through a U.S. citizen daughter in December and 2022. I'm living in Mexico, but from the Bahamas. Do you know how much longer this will take? Um, so it usually takes a year for I-130s to be approved. Why do they request RFE? Depends. Request for evidence means they need more information, and it depends what's missing. I do have a family member who's an undocumented citizen waiting for his permit, and he wants to travel to another state but wants to use flight but doesn't have any documentation, only his immigration. So usually you have to have an identification like your passport to at least travel. So a valid passport. Married daughter filing going 10 years. Can they change your status while in the US working? So this is complex. Schedule an appointment. I can explain it to you. It just depends. Now, if your daughter overstayed her visa, adjustment of status is very unlikely here. I'm currently awaiting. All right. Is travel documents safe to travel with? Please elaborate your thoughts. Yes, but it depends on your risk, your individual risk of travel. So this is where you need to talk to your attorney. All right, I have to head out. Thanks so much for your time. I'll try to make it tomorrow at lunchtime, so look out for me. In the meantime, if you want personalized legal advice, schedule your appointment. All right, have a good one, everyone. Bye bye.